Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And tonight, Mr. Speaker, as we talk about religious freedom, it is especially appropriate that this group is led by one Congressman, Randy Forbes. Mr. Speaker, I came into Congress approximately 11 years ago, and Mr. Forbes has been a prescient and noble voice among us during that time. And I truly believe that as long as there are men like Randy Forbes in Congress, that America will continue to be a great and hopeful nation. Mr. Forbes understands the importance of religious freedom. He understands that religious freedom is truly the cornerstone of all other freedoms. I want to make a sort of a layman's analysis of a quote some time back from a great English statesman. He said, "Out of deep, dark bondage arises great faith. And that faith leads to great courage. And courage leads ultimately to freedom. And freedom leads to abundance. And abundance leads to apathy. And apathy leads to dependence. And dependence leads back to bondage." And that has been the litany so often of great countries down through the ages, Mr. Speaker. And I would just suggest to you tonight that there is a solution to breaking that pattern, and that is for us to hold, as we are trying to do this evening, to the great foundations of religious freedom. Because as we so clearly see in the insights of this great English statesman, that faith oftentimes is the precursor to all other freedoms. And it is vitally important that we protect it, and to fail to do so is to imperil our entire nation. And, Mr. Speaker, I believe that's exactly where we are in many places today. And I want to give one special example tonight. Saeed Abedini is a United States citizen who has been imprisoned in Iran for exercising his Christian faith in a manner that is both legal and protected under Iranian law and international law. A few days ago, 36th branch of the Tehran Court of Appeals confirmed Saeed Abedini's prison sentence, and he is expected to serve the rest of the 8-year sentence in a hostile Iranian prison. The following statement is by Naghmeh Abedini, his wife, and a resident of Idaho, in reaction to the news that Iran had upheld her husband's prison sentence. She said, quote, "When I learned that the Iranian appeals court confirmed Saeed's 8-year imprisonment, I was heartbroken. As tears streamed down my face, I pondered how I could crush the childlike hope with this news as my children tightly closed their eyes and prayed in hope and expectation for their daddy's safe return. Discouragement and disappointment washed over me. I was discouraged that after a year of travel and numerous media interviews, I felt no closer to Saeed's release. I am also disappointed that the leader of my country, a country founded on religious freedom, has been awkwardly silent when an American citizen is wasting away in an Iranian prison. For an entire year, my husband has faced threats and abuse daily by radicals in Evin prison for refusing to deny his Christian faith. And still, President Obama has never spoken a word about him. I am grateful for congressional pressure, but I do hope that as a nation, we realize that if we do not collectively speak out against injustice, it will be only a matter of time before all of our children will have to face what my children are facing today," unquote. Mr. Speaker, the American people would be outraged to truly know that the Obama administration has responded with deafening silence when an American father, husband, pastor, and an American citizen, Mr. Speaker, was thrown into a harsh prison under a oppressive regime for having the nerve to practice his Christian faith. The Obama administration should be utterly ashamed of its disgusting failure to speak out on behalf of Saeed Abedini and his precious family. No wonder the oppressive Iranian regime holds the Obama administration in such total derision as it arrogantly proceeds to build nuclear weapons with which to threaten the peace and security of the entire free world. And I hope that the American people will hold the Obama administration accountable for its absolutely criminal silence in the face of such heartless injustice forced upon this beloved American pastor, his innocent family, and so many others. Mr. Speaker, on September 26th, Saeed Abedini will have served in Iran's harsh Evin prison for an entire year. The appeal that Saeed Abedini has just lost was his last hope of being released under a heartless and unjust Iranian judicial system that still demands that he serve his 8-year sentence. Now, Saeed's wife, Naghmeh, is faced with crushing this childlike hope she speaks of her 2 young children who have patiently prayed in hope and expectation for their daddy's safe return, and to tell them that it will be a very long time before they see their daddy again. Mr. Speaker, when I hear the words of Naghmeh Abedini, and I roll them over in my mind and I think of my own 2 little children at home, I am at once heartbroken for the Abedini family and enraged at the lackadaisical attitude and silence of President Obama. Iran has demonstrated an utter disregard for fundamental religious freedom by continuing to unjustly hold Pastor Abedini, an American citizen, Mr. Speaker, an American citizen, in a hellish Iranian prison for practicing his faith. Their tyrannical attempts, in the words of Ronald Reagan, to stifle the freedom and muzzle the self-expression of the people have been again exposed to the world after the imprisonment of this beloved American pastor, who at the time was working to build an orphanage in Iran when he was imprisoned. Mr. Speaker, Martin Luther King once said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." And Pastor Abedini's case has starkly shown the far-reaching implications of even a single instance of oppressing religious freedom. And by relentlessly refusing to forget this noble and gentle man, Pastor Saeed Abedini, we are upholding the sacred principle of international religious freedom as a first freedom that, Mr. Speaker, is fundamental to all of humanity. And I would yield.
And Congressman Trent.